Hello, darling. This is River Roaring, celebrating the luminous life force in us all. Hello, darling. I'm River Roaring, and I think I'll call this episode my multidimensional holiday heart journey. Today I want to share a story with you about my insides, and this story will span dimensions. And I've been sharing this story with my loved ones, a few of my loved ones, and I share it today with you with the hopes that this story, something about this story will serve you in some way in your life. I've had a long struggle with how much to share about myself into the universe, and my story has been, that's not what people want to hear about, that's just egocentric. But I think I'm sharing the story today after considering it and feeling like I hope there's a lesson in here that could help and serve you, not because I'm just trying to show myself and my life. So let's see how to share the story. I guess to start with, I grew up with some amount of trauma in my life, and I formed an outer shell. A wise person had said to me that as children in this culture, which is pretty backwards, that in this culture, a child is born and is usually going to create a protective shell of either bully or victim. And the way I was raised, my protective shell came out as bully. Believe it or not. I'm sure you do if you've heard more about me and all this stuff. So of course I became this trial attorney and lobbyist, and that characteristic came out and was nourished. So skip forward to this November last month. I am facilitating an online course that lasts for 2 months. It's November and December, and the only people invited into this online course have been people who have already taken the weekend workshop with me, and I call them wheelheads. So all wheelheads are invited into this course, and it's a 2-month course, and the course is Dream Mastery. And what that means is it's not about our nighttime dreams. It's about our daydreaming. It's about visioning, and in our imagination having visions, and then coming into the earth and understanding how to co-create those visions in material world. So that's what the course is about. It's called Dream Mastery. It's about visioning and then creating those visions in the actual material world. So I invited everyone in the class to select a topic to dream about for the program, and over the 2 months we're together in the program, we will work with that, and we will dream and work with creating that in reality, in the material world, whatever you dream. And I suggested, well, we can dream about anything. We are humans with these in beautiful interdimensional powers of interacting with the unseen. And we can dream about anything and learn how to bring our dreams into the material world and reality. And you could dream about what you're going to do for the next hour, or what you're going to do for the next day, or what you're going to do in the next 5 or 10 years. Dreams can be any direction. So I suggested to the participants, it might be most fun if you want to select a topic that we could complete in these 2 months. Then we can work the dream together and really see it come to fruition, or what's going to happen with it. And I chose to do the work alongside the people in the program. And so I selected the question to dream about, how do I want to feel during the holidays? Meaning right now, November and December 2025. Whether we celebrate holidays or not is not the issue, but how do I want to feel here in the end of the year of 2025? And it is a holiday season for so many people that human beings in the United States really kind of change their flow a lot in a lot of different ways in this November, December frame. So even if I'm not celebrating the holidays, I'm part of this energy of the holidays. So how do I want to feel the rest of this year during this holiday season? So that was my question for myself. And I went into my dream space, which we learn how to do. It's one way to do it is like a shamanic journeying process, if you're familiar with that, but there are many ways to do it. And in the dream process, we move into the unseen realms and see what's there. So I'm not here to teach the class, but I am here to say that that's what I did. So I went into the unseen and I went into shamanic journeying spaces and I said, hey, how do I want to feel this holiday season? And I believe that in those spaces, to simplify it, I believe our soul can speak with us in the unseen realms if we know how to tap in. So I'm kind of asking my soul or my higher self or whatever we want to call the forces of the unseen that are on my side, which there are many names. I'm asking that unseen realm, what is the highest and best for me and how I want to feel this holiday season. So in this dreamlike space, my attention was brought around through 4 different words came up and phrases, and then quickly it was like a bird just flying in and landing on open heart. You, River, want to understand deeper and feel in a deeper way, open heart, this holiday season. And I got a feelings in my body that were physical sensations in my body, and I pursued that in the dream space until I could really feel in my body physically a lot of different sensations that I knew would later become my roadmap. So I'm imprinting in these physical sensations. It was an interesting set of physical sensations. There was a lot of expansion, and there was also some contraction there. And I knew as I experienced the contractions, this is part of the open heart process. This is not going in the wrong direction or bad or negative. This is somehow part of it. So I logged in the physical sensations that were there in the dream. And the next phase of the process is to come out into the material world and start navigating and look for the opportunities to what I call the forks in the road. So I'm out here navigating in the material world and I'm looking for the forks in the road. Where are the moments in my life where I could go down the normal way I usually do it, or there's a fork in the road, I become aware. It's actually a skill to just become aware of the forks in the road, to see them and to see this is a moment in time where I can go the old way I used to go as usual, or I can walk a new path that takes me closer to my dream. So finding those forks were not hard, and I have my favorite bundle of catalysts and triggers, my partner, who I love very much. And in that relationship, frequently our most close love relationships will be the ones that are testing us. And so I would be in an interaction and certain things would happen and my heart would be open and like, I'm ready for open heart communication, and I was all grounded and centered and had full of intention to be open-hearted. And then as the conversation went on or whatever events went on, I noticed, oh, I'm still closing. There's a point where I'm like open, you know, they're saying some things, they're doing some things, saying some things, I'm open-hearted. And then, whoa, there is a moment where one more thing and my heart closed. So I'm not yet where I want to be, but I do see the opportunity there, and I know what I want to do, but I'm not yet able to do that yet. I'm still closing in a certain way. And what do I mean by closing? Well, I'll describe that as we go here, and as I discovered. And what did I mean? There are some times where when my heart closed, it would be a lashing out in anger as a bully would, right? It's that bully side, and it's protective. And there would be other times, especially with my closest loved one, where what happened in my heart to close was not so obvious as an anger outburst, which is clear to me what's happening. I'm closing and protecting. But it was rather very, very subtle. So subtle that my partner would say like, oh, something happened there in you. And I would scan myself and go, no, I don't think so. And I'm like really worked a long time to try to notice my own physical sensations in my body. But even I was like, no, I don't think something happened there. And then thanks to having a wonderful partner who will not let up on that and go, no, something definitely did happen, which is the kind of teacher I need in my life right now, someone who will be not afraid to stand on their ground and say, no, something happened there. I was able on one point to look back and go, wait a minute, something did happen there in my heart. And it was as subtle inside me as a butterfly's wings fluttering one time. That's what I can compare it to. It felt in the physical world in my heart like so subtle, like a butterfly flaps their wing one time. So easy to miss. But upon my attention being drawn to, it's like, no, that is there. And I actually, now that I'm acknowledging that happened in my heart, now I even can feel into the very fast stories that played in my beingness inside of less than a second of time that were a very fast process. That was actually the same process as when I lash out in anger as an obvious bully. It's the same thing, but it's this tiny level of it. Like, oh yeah, it did happen, and I somehow said a word or used a tone of voice or said or did something that blocked further connection in our relationship because of that butterfly flap. So now I'm more aware and more attuned to noticing a more subtle and subtle level of when it is happening. And I'm still noticing that I can not always stay open-hearted no matter what. I mean, no, period, matter, period, what, period. That's my goal. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else does at all. No matter what, I want my heart open. And I knew at that moment I'm not quite there yet. So the next step in the process that I lead the class through is, after looking for the forks and being aware of the fork and understanding what choice I want to make on that fork, that opportunity, but still the other person triggered me into my old way on the road, the bully, even if it was so subtle that I hardly noticed, and that my bully, quote unquote, was out in like a tone of voice change. It was like, sometimes they're really big bully explosions to protect my heart, and sometimes they're so subtle that I was denying it happened. Now the next step in the process is, okay, I see the fork, I know which way I want to go, I'm not yet doing that. The next step is cleaning. What do I need to do to clean myself, which also is like healing. So there's something in me that needs to be healed that is not allowing me to go the way I want toward my dream. And what happened next is a very interesting and complex set of following the breadcrumbs. So for me, the way I think that each one of us have our very unique, very own, very personal path on cleaning and healing. What that means for you, what that means for me. Once I find something that's in myself that I don't want there anymore, which is this bully reaction and this protection, I know I need to do some healing and cleaning, and I'm trying to tell the story in a way that would help everyone if you hear this. And I think the general way to say this is, if I open myself up into, I want to heal this, I want to clean this up inside my energy, I deeply believe that the universe will provide the breadcrumbs for you next. If you set that clear, and I want to figure out why I'm doing this behavior I don't want to do anymore. I want to heal. I'm ready to bow down and humble myself in anything, wherever this leads me. I want to heal it. For me, the cleaning healing process involved a lot of meditation, a lot of speaking with my unseen guides in the unseen realms, and my highest version of myself, and the one infinite creator, and Mother Earth, and all the things I do in the meditation space in the unseen realms. And I can't neglect to mention that I'm currently working with 3 different teachers. One, they're hard to describe exactly what they teach, but to way overgeneralize these teachers, one of them is a Tao instructor, but that's an overgeneralization because they bring all these different types of information and things that are even bigger than the Tao Bell, say Tao instructor. And then another one is also oversimplified to say Akashic record reader. That's way oversimplified because this person brings so many other pieces with it, but a guide into the unseen realms. And then the third one is an energy healer, I guess I'll say, but a teacher of me of how to work my unseen realms of energy. So I have these 3 beautiful teachers. And frankly, as a side note, it was short number of years ago when I was begging for support and dreaming and visioning into how I could have support around me. So just the fact that I'm telling you I have these 3 incredible, truly amazing and astounding teachers around me now is also a separate story about dreaming and creating that into reality. So I now have this basically human being council on earth. So in my healing and cleaning process, I am following breadcrumbs between my own meditations and talking with each one of these teachers about what I'm trying to accomplish, and seeing what kind of breadcrumbs they have to drop for me as hints of what to do next and where to go next. So that was all kind of fascinating and beautiful how it opened up. The process opened up to guide me and show me the work that I needed to do in order to be who I want to be. I feel like that's probably a whole nother podcast, is just like how the breadcrumbs lay themselves in front of us for our, what I'll call our spiritual path. But I followed the breadcrumbs, and even though there were scary places to go into, I went there. And that's exactly what I'll sum it up as. So the lesson I learned from all of that healing and cleaning, to try to sum it up in some words, which will not really do it justice, but I will still try, is that I'm coming back now to how I was born into the world and how I was given the opportunity to have a lot of trauma in my early years, and I formed an exterior ego shell of bully to protect myself in that, and it's an adaptation. It's a childhood adaptation to a lack of safety. And when I say safety, I mean physical, emotional, spiritual, love. But all of us, I'll just stick with myself, had a lot of protective shells built up from the beginning, like from birth. So I feel like in the last 20 years, I've been on this really strong spiritual journey. And it was 19 years ago. And 19 years ago, when I started this spiritual journey, I would look back on that and I would say that my bully had a protective shell that was so thick, like lead, that was all the way around the outside of my aura, just like totally protecting my entire energetic being. And that over the last 20 years, 19, I've been working on my spiritual path, and that shell has gotten smaller and smaller, and I've become more open and able to feel emotion, able to feel love, able to connect with people as this shell has gotten smaller and smaller. But what I discovered in my current healing cleaning process is there is still a pebble in there, a very hard pebble, and it is like lead pebble in my heart. So that lead pebble, what is that? It's a fear of pain. So what I found out on the breadcrumb trail is that I still have a part of me that is, I hadn't yet discovered on this 19-year path, that is in a lead protective shell. It's small in there, but it's still there. And if circumstances whittle away at my willpower and my current store of positive energy that's around me, and something or someone or some circumstances whittle away down into hitting that lead ball, then this bully assassin comes out and protects by withdrawing from the love. And this tiny part of me is too afraid to feel pain still, even though all the work I've done. So fear of pain is still inside me in this pebble at a level that I wasn't earlier aware of. Fear of pain. What kind of pain? So I went back into the meditations and journeys, and there came memories of me, more memories came flooding forth of me as an infant, And a tiny part of, one part of this story is that, I've shared in other podcasts that my mother in the material plane, she passed away this spring, 2025. Since that happened, there have been a long series of unlocking memories coming forward to me about my childhood. And here I was in this inquiry, why do I still have a lead pebble in my heart that I guard and protect and withdraw from love? And memories came forward of infancy, and they were memories that I was still afraid to feel what my baby felt like in those times. And there it was. I was still afraid to feel a certain level of pain. That's kind of like this code, fear of pain, that I want to fully explore much, much further. I feel like I've touched on that in the past, but now there's a new way of looking at it. So there it was. I was afraid of a pain still. I was still afraid of feeling a pain from my past in this lifetime, and therefore I had a lead pebble in there. It's fear. So what was my next step to do? To go in deep, honest meditations into that space and feel her pain. So I did that work. And I went in there and yes, that was a lot of pain. I felt it. That's the part that is painful about growth, I think, is that literally painful about growth is that I'm starting to theorize that all growth and all resistance to growth is really a fear of some kind of pain. And the antidote is to sincerely go into the experience and allow myself to feel all of it. That's what I did through a process. And once I was out of that process, I felt like the lead pebble was dissolving into open space. I could feel in my body physical sensations that were different. In my heart, it felt different. It felt expanded and light coming through it in a way that in my lifetime I had never felt. Although I didn't really identify the pebble in the past, it was there. And now that I've dissolved it, or am dissolving it, is a very clear, distinct, expansive and light-filled set of physical sensations in my heart space of my body. So I could feel that I had to either all the way or mostly released my fears of those deepest pains I've found so far. They're no longer afraid. Scary to me. I held my baby infant. I put her in my heart. I told her I'd be with her forever and ever and ever, and I'm right here. She's not alone. And that pebble evaporated. That's the cleaning process of this work. Now I go back out to navigate the material world and look for the forks again. And I go back out into the material world and interact with my loved ones. And here's my favorite bundle of catalysts and triggers coming here toward me. And I'm like, now I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to choose love when I'm tempted to go the other way. So this human being in all their majesty does things that I wouldn't choose or want, or, but like they're not my choice, they're another human. And I'm noticing my body just feel love. I feel so much love for the person. I feel like I can just see and feel the divine in them. And that's the only thing I can see and feel, really. And then basically more things happen that would trigger me. And so one thing that happened here is my partner and I got into this. We agreed to do some challenging conversations for some things we're going through in our relationship. We sat down and we entered into some challenging conversations about the things that aren't going awesome in our relationship. And I noticed that we were hitting on a lot of issues that were long-term dynamics in our relationship that caused friction. And I could feel my body open and light-filled as each one of these issues came and went. And I could notice when I had a slight urge to protect and withdraw from love, but it was only it was very gentle, and I was able to maneuver on that fork the direction I wanted to pretty easily, just able to go, whoa, I feel that temptation, and it really doesn't have anything to grab onto anymore in my heart. There's no more lead pebble there. So it's like, wow, I kind of saw the temptation, but it was very easy to stay in love. And after that conversation, where I feel like I successfully navigated the forks in the road the way I wanted to, and I kept my heart open, my partner and I spooned. We laid down together spooning. A friend of mine was like, I don't know what spooning is. It's just where two people lay down next to one another on their sides, they're both facing the same direction, and the bodies are next to one another. I guess like two spoons fitting together in the drawer when you stack them. So we were spooning, and after this conversation where I had been successful, after I had done all that cleaning work and understood myself more, and we were spooning, and something that has never happened before to me happened. From my physical heart, I saw and felt my heart as if it were pulsing outward into all directions in a equal spherical formation. It was like pulsing, and I could see the rings of the sphere pulsing out from my heart, and they were so big. They were pulsing, my heart was pulsing, and these rings were expanding outward and going so far, they were going through the room we were in, out into the world. My heart was literally an open pulsing beacon of warm, fuzzy love. And I could feel it in my heart space. I could feel it in my body. And I could see the rings pulsing out with my closed eyes in the unseen realms. I could see them so clearly. And I was just in amazement. I've had a lot of very fortunate and beautiful experiences in different dimensions, but this one was unique. And the feeling in my body was so, I'm searching for words, warm, melty, golden, expansive, light. It was freedom, inner freedom of my heart. Coming out of that experience, and I just laid and basked in it. I just basked in it. I mean, I didn't say one word. I just basked in it. I mean, it was phenomenal. And after that, I've come out feeling like my heart is in a new place. There is a lead pebble gone. And I've also come to some new understandings on the intellectual side. I realized after that experience, and after I've also been with my partner, several times where I'm like, yeah, it is still open. Like I think it's permanent. We'll see, but it feels that way. So I've had other chances to sort of test my heart, closing and protecting in that bully reaction, and it has not. And so from that, I've also been learning, when I saw the phrase unconditional love, I was like, oh, I feel, I am experiencing, I am being unconditional love now. And I recognize that all of my life, I have seen that phrase and just been like, what? I don't understand that phrase. All my life up until the last few weeks, it's been like, I don't know what that means. I do not know what unconditional love means. I don't understand it. Does that mean I am never shaken from a state of complete and total love? Is that like there's never any variance in the emotional state? That's what I thought it might mean, but I certainly couldn't really conceive of that, because I've also been hearing that, well, all of our emotions are important. We're here to feel things in the emotional realm as well. And only after having done this process with myself, and only after my body changing, only after these interdimensional, because when I was seeing the pulsing rays out, that was in the unseen realms, quote unquote unseen realms. This was in other dimensions that pulsing was happening, even though it was so very visible to me in that moment, in my eyes, my inner eyes. I now feel and experience unconditional love. And I've also come across information that sits with me well, which is still I will have emotions. Still I will have a wide range of emotions inside of this beautiful envelope, this juicy, warm envelope that will never go away, of unconditional love for the divine in every single being, object, circumstance. Being able to really sit with love for the divine in a way that is completely unshaken. I have not perfected this to my I don't know where the future lies. We have December ahead of us for even this one experiment here. I don't know how steady this new state is for me, but it feels very steady right now. And I'm able, since this happened, to sit in a very, very new and different interdimensional space with myself. My body looks pretty much the same. That's why I'm saying interdimensional. My material body doesn't really look that different that I know of. But the other dimensions of my energy are radically, radically shifted right now. And I can turn toward any part of the known universe that I know of right now and see it with love in a way I couldn't access before, even though I was really on this trail before. I was practicing these things before. There's a new level because my heart feels actually open, literally. And I hope the last lead pebble was removed by what? By courage to simply experience whatever I was too afraid to feel before. And I also want to say that since then, working with my teachers too, different phrases have come out. And the phrase sacred feminine leadership is also something that I wasn't clear I understood before. Sacred feminine leadership. I wasn't fully in understanding of that before. I could hear that phrase. It meant certain things to me, but it was not quite clear. And one of my teachers said, "You're now entering into sacred feminine leadership." And immediately I was like, well, I don't want to be leading anymore, meaning in a hierarchical way. You know, like I have been an attorney. And I say that because I was a trial attorney. It's a very bossy position to be in. I mean, it's really one of the most bossy positions in our society. And then to be also a lobbyist, that's also pretty bossy because we're trying to decide what laws everyone else will live under. And so I don't want to lead that way anymore. I don't want to lead in a hierarchical way. And she said to me, this is not what I'm talking about. You have discovered the new way, which is sacred feminine leadership. It requires no doing. It requires no words. It requires no action, no word. It's simply a different way of being. And now I understand by experiencing my body differently. Now I understand it is a energetic radiation. That's what it is. Sacred feminine leadership is heart radiating unconditionally the divine love from the divine in me. So this is the story. It's not over in that now in this very moment it's been very sobering. It's a very sobering journey for me to look at my life and say and recognize and acknowledge I've actually been a bully in ways that are obvious and in ways that I previously fully denied. Still yet, I have been. How many people have I harmed with that protective little girl? How many people have I harmed with that throughout my life, with that defensive adaptation from my childhood? And right this second, I'm in a process of turning toward my most close loved ones to ask them, will you share with me the ways I've harmed you? And I will simply listen and take it in. I think that's the next step here in the healing and opening process, is to go to my relationships that I care about and say, if you are willing to continue in relationship with me, my request is, will you share with me any and all of the hurt parts of you that I've caused, all the impact my bully has made on you over the years we've known each other? whether it's big or small, whether it's something obvious or I didn't even know until you started telling me that I had even done that. And it's sobering, it's humbling. I've also had a temptation to go into shame. I could feel that temptation, like, oh my gosh, you have been just a bitch, in your life. You have been the worst harmful person in the universe. You have just spewed out harm all around you all your life toward every single person at every single moment. And I'm like, wait a minute. Let's hold off on this big shame spiral here. I don't think that's going to help anything. But I will say that it's embarrassing. It's humbling, sobering, embarrassing. And it's important, I think, for me now to really invite a listening process so that I can make amends with each person I care about the most. And there are several weeks left in the quote-unquote holiday season at this point, and I wanted to make this and put it out right here, even though my process is not totally complete, because I'm really moved by what's possible when I was willing to seek out any part of me that is still afraid of something. And it certainly was not that hard to find once I really opened up and honestly, sincerely asked for help and that I want to see it. And it was the fear of the pain that was propelling my negative behaviors I didn't want anymore in my life. For me, I adapted as a bully, and others will adapt as a child into a victim. And both of those have their harmful vibrations that we put out to others when we feel threatened and when we're too afraid to feel some level of pain from something. So this has been an epic journey for me, and it's definitely a new place for my energetic being to be living in, and I'm still exploring the nooks and crannies. As I said, I'm in right now a grand listening process to ask those around me. I care a lot about the ways I've impacted you, large and small. Will you share how I've impacted you in the negative sense, large and small, so I can hear that, and maybe there are some amends I can make. And I certainly can make the amend that I want to exist the rest of my life here, not just the holiday season. This is a learning. This holiday season is a learning, and I hope I'll take this with me the rest of my life, to hold all of life in unconditional love. Within that, I can still have learning, I can still have frustration, I can still navigate my way with radical discernment to what's right and what's not right for me. So in other words, unconditional love is not actually taking a victim stance and just accepting anything anyone else says, no matter what it is, or abuse or anything like that. I see now, because I used to think, well, that must be what it is. I don't get it. No, I see now. It's not that. We still maintain all of our range of emotion. I still have maintained so far all of my range of emotion and all of my radical discernment about whether this is the best place for me right now. And the way I'm deciding that for now is I'm on a divine mission here on earth, and I'm here to carry it out. That's what's important. It's the only thing that's really important to me anymore. And so is this next step for me toward my divine mission on earth in this lifetime? Or is it away from it? And I still will go toward the things that are yes and away from the things that are no, in love, in a unconditional state of love. And I guess I want to end by saying I want to focus a lot on the physical body journey. Even though this story is so much about my energetic body, it is also happening in the material plane of my physical body. In fact, an interesting thing for me is that I contracted a heart injury during the vaccine rollout, not because I took the shot. I did not take the COVID vaccine. However, shedding of the spike protein injured my heart from being close to and touching others who had taken it. And I have had myocarditis in my heart since 2021 when it rolled out, I guess. And I'm curious, I don't know the answer yet, but I'm curious if this is actually healing the physical material scar inside my heart. I think it might be. And I think this is how true healing works. And again, I'm just wrapping in that my material plane body has taken quite a journey as well. And it feels very different to be me now. So I am definitely succeeding in my intention to find out what it means to be and feel open-hearted this holiday season. I pray that some aspect of this story has been of service to you in some way, and I'm definitely open to hearing from you. I would love to, as a matter of fact, because I'm on earth to support those who are called to bringing maximum love and light into their lives, liberated self-expression in all realms where all is sacred, connecting with you to create a cosmic web of love and light throughout the realms. And I do want to hear from you. Please feel free to leave me a comment or shoot me an email by visiting my site at riverroaring.com and click on Get Started to share your question, your reflection, or your insight, or put it in the comments of any platform you found this podcast on, and I'll be checking around the best I can for those comments. Because together we can step into a more harmonious vibration. We can fly higher together, shifting human consciousness forever for the highest good of all beings. And so, my darling, may the love be with you, and may the love be with us all.